Ever bought a single-player game that needs constant online connection, or splurged on a limited edition you regret? Stick around for the final red flag.
In today's Yap About It Yap Session segment, we are going to be talking about how I just brain farted and forgot what the topic was. It was
Leo's
red and green flags in game collecting, bro.
Yes, red and green flags in game collecting. The funny thing is that I actually had it memorized, and then you played the animation. I was like, "Wait, what was it?" Our red and green flags in game collecting. I feel like Isaac and I had very similar ones in mind. I'm just gonna let him start this one because
what if we
piggyback off each other?
What if we each say one each instead of we all list our red flags? Because I was thinking about this and I'm like, bro, you guys are going to say all of this. We're all going to think of the same ones.
Go around and just say one thing and then just rotate for a while. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm going to be like, yep, I agree with everything Nick said. Like when you have a school project, and you're like, yeah, well, he said.
True.
When someone has a presentation and you're just occasionally going, yes, that happened in 1836.
Yeah, but yeah,
Getting
let's
my
get
D.
back to our red and green flags.
Shoot, then I get first overall pick, and then can I do it?
Congratulations.
So I have been a victim so many times to buying a video game and having to buy it again because they do a definitive edition or they do a package where there's much more DLC already included. And also as a collector, I was telling Nick about it prior that you just sometimes feel like, dang, I don't own this game in that artwork. Now I want to own this game in that artwork, because as collectors, that's a lot of the thing is we just look for different mediums to express our fandom for video games. I think it is a big red flag when you buy a video game from a company that you know is notorious for dropping a remastered or deluxe edition shortly after. Square Enix, Atlas.
I love them, but I hate them.
Yeah, Square Enix, Atlas, Square Enix. I can't tell you how many Kingdom Hearts collections I own. I have every Kingdom Hearts collection. I got like Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5. There's a 2.8. What did they mean? Where did they get the 0.3 extra where it goes from 2.5 to 2.8? And then 3 comes out.
Don't they
Featuring
have like
Dante from Devil May Cry or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't they have a complete collection now?
For now, right?
There's going to be another one that comes out too. I bet you.
Exactly.
2027, Kingdom Hearts
Complete
3.4783.
And then I'm gonna buy it
Hearts Pie.
because I buy all of them. I buy all of them because they always make it, HD and crispy on like the newest PlayStation with the newest controllers. And yeah, I'm gonna be a sucker for that, just like I was a sucker for, anytime they dropped a Final Fantasy remaster or deluxe edition. Anytime I have like 3 copies of Nier Automata because they dropped it, and then they dropped a deluxe edition, and there's also a Switch deluxe edition, and I'm like, okay. I'm starting to wonder if I should just wait for them to be done with what they're doing and then buy it. Atlas.
Yep.
I have Persona 5. I have Persona 5 Royal. I have Shin Megami Tensei 3. They ported it to Switch. They ported it to PS4. I just bought Metaphor not that long ago. I'm already worried they're going to do a remaster version or a deluxe edition.
They might.
Shin Megami Tensei 5. All right, Shin Megami Tensei 5. I remember pre-ordering the Fall of Man edition. It was like this big box collector's edition, and it was premium, came with all these goods, and came with a heftier price tag. And then what do? That
a year later
kind of felt like half finished, and then eventually they drop Vengeance, Shin Megami Tensei 5, where the V is the 5, and then it says Vengeance, and that game feels like a way more complete game than the regular 5. And I just kind of feel like the copy of 5 I have is worthless.
Yep.
Vengeance is worth way more. The copy of Persona 5 I have is worthless. Persona 5 Royal is worth way more. Nier Automata is worthless. Get Game of the Yora edition. Kingdom Hearts 3. I don't think they really did a big box, but that game is still worthless because I was pissed off about that one. But still, red flag when a game company drops some sort of like compendium edition or drops some sort of definitive edition shortly after release.
You know what's an early warning sign that that's going to happen in the first place?
Day one DLC?
Day one edition.
Yeah.
If you see the words day one edition, that already alone tells you, hey, there's going to be multiple editions of this game if it sells well enough. And if they have idea that it's going to sell well enough, there's a good chance that they're going to go follow through with it. So you're going to get the day one edition, the quote unquote standard edition, the year down the line edition, the definitive edition, the, even more definitive edition, like all these other ones that they just decide.
Anytime they're like, this was an exclusive if you pre-order on Amazon, this was an exclusive if you pre-order on Best Buy, and then eventually they just drop one. It's like includes every DLC from every pre-order bonus from every retailer. You're just like, okay, thanks. Like,
this DLC is console exclusive. Not
exactly. But that's my rant on games that decide that they want to have a super duper edition after you already bought it. Red flags, companies that are notorious for doing that. Alrighty. Who thinks that they got one cooked up really quickly? I'll go off of that. Like let me know right now. Which one of you three thinks that you got one cooked up right now that you're like, I gotta yap?
I kind of got one.
Go,
I
Nick.
got one. I have two in mind. I'll come back to the other one later. Please, if we don't get to it, just remind me. It's pretty quick. But I was thinking about talking about one for a while, and then one just popped in my head because Isaac mentioned something. And this is both a red flag and a green flag, depending on the circumstance.
Let's see if you and I are going to say the same one then.
It's like, okay, I'll give you an example. I bought the new Mario Party the other day, and I went into Target, and they give you like a pre-order, like when you buy it, they give you like a bonus, right? Like, for example, when I went to get Mario Odyssey at Walmart, they gave me this like little like picture frame thing. I'll show you guys real quick. Essentially, it's like a little goodie that comes with it when you buy the game at Walmart, and it was like this little picture frame thing. And I got to show you guys because this is my red flag. If you guys could just riff just for like 10 seconds.
All right, let's talk smack about Nick while he's gone.
I'm gonna take a leak.
Remember to subscribe and like. And I will say, going off of what Nick said, I don't remember the last time I've bought something and I got something free with it.
So my
Game.
So this is a green flag. I think this is pretty cool. I bought Mario Wonder at Walmart just because it was like, I don't know why I bought it at Walmart, but yeah, that's where I bought it. And it came with this. It's like just a little like portrait thing. It's kind of like 3D. I think this is cool. You know, it is what it is. But then I went to buy the new Super Mario Party Jamboree at Target, and I had no idea it came with like an extra thing. And this is where the red flag comes in, because it's like, why do I need this? It's a bucket. It's just, like, I mean, it's cool, but like, what am I going to do with it? Put popcorn in it? That's the only thing I thought about, you know? Maybe I could just like store games in it. I don't know. But this is kind of a red flag, green flag for me, because sometimes you get extra cool stuff.
And other times it's worthless.
Other times it's like, I almost like, in retrospect, I probably should just left it there because it's like, you know, it's cool, but it's kind of just taking up space. So that's mine.
Kind of makes you question your purchase, or rather like the little things that come with your purchases when you get these pre-order bonuses.
Yeah. I know there's been some, like a really popular one that they do is like reversible covers. I can't remember a specific. Yeah, those are awesome. Like that's a green flag for me for sure. I'm sorry if I took up if that was somebody's, but like, for example, Sonic Mania, it has a reversible cover and it's
like a
awesome,
Genesis style.
Yeah, it's awesome. So that's mine. I'll go ahead and throw it to whoever has one on their mind.
Metroid
I got
Prime
one, Sam. Do you got one?
Metroid Prime Remastered. I just purchased it. Has a reversible cover and it's pretty sick. One of them is a GameCube like cover,
that's awesome.
And then the other one is like a new one. I wanted to mention that. You could go ahead, Leo.
All right. Kind of like what Nick did, mine is a simultaneous red and green flag. It depends on the circumstances, much like Nick's. And sometimes it makes you go, oh, I'm going to buy that. And other times it kind of makes you go, no, I'm going to skip that. And that is collector's editions in general. So my thing is, when it comes to collector's editions, there are 3 things I look for and only 2 of them that I actually really want. One thing I want, a steelbook. Another thing I want, the full soundtrack. The last thing, more optional, a lenticular or reversible cover. That said, there's been many times, and this is why I say it's both a red and a green flag, where I FOMO myself into buying a game because it's a collector's edition. And then I kind of either sit on the game for a while or I play it and I'm like, wow, kind of wish I just went with the standard edition on this one. Even if I enjoyed the game, maybe I didn't enjoy it enough to where it's like, was it really worth spending the extra $30-$40 on this and getting this extra stuff that's just taking up space that I don't really need? But on the other hand, there's also times where I look at this and I'm like, oh, this soundtrack is fire. I'm glad I got a CD copy of it. Or, oh, dude, that steelbook looks awesome in my collection. And that's the sort of thing where it kind of makes me wonder, like, do I really need all these collector's editions? I've kind of stopped buying them as much over the years because I've kind of come to realize that sometimes even when I love a game, I don't need all this superfluous stuff. I'm fine with just the base game unless there's like a very specific it factor about it that makes me go, okay, yeah, I'm getting this collector's edition. And how do you feel, guys? How do you guys feel about that?
I agree. I haven't bought a ton of collector's editions, but you know, like one of the coolest ones I bought was a Sonic Mania one. That was just one of the first ones that came to mind. And I know recently you guys were showing me the Sonic X Shadow Generations collector's edition, and it looks amazing. But it's like $200-$300 or something crazy like that.
Limited run will get you like that.
Yeah, yeah. I think collector's editions are awesome, but I agree with Leo. Steelbook is probably one of the coolest things, and then the soundtrack, and you know, an art book's kind of cool depending on the franchise too, in my opinion. What are your guys' thoughts?
I love them, but I hate the space they take because I have quite a few collector's editions myself of different games that I love. The problem is you're going from something that is like the size of, you know, a PS4 game spine to all of a sudden you got like this giant textbook sized item or the size of like 3 textbooks that is now taking up real estate on your shelf. And yeah.
It's like
Peep Sam.
It's like a PC game.
You know, you got this big box item. It's taking up real estate in your inventory. And if you are, yeah, totally,
awesome.
Totally. Sam, for audio listeners, Sam pulled out 2 different Fire Emblem collector's editions, and they basically look like giant Bibles. And
they might as well be textbooks from your college history class.
Exactly. And you've got limited shelf space as it is, especially when you're a collector and you're just constantly adding to the inventory of things that you want to go and play through.
Yep.
What I appreciate is a good steelbook, kind of like what Leo said, because sometimes if there's an edition where I could just get the pre-order and I get a steelbook, I am super satisfied.
Yep.
If there's a big box edition, I usually love it, but I hate when they think that it is warranted charging 3 times the amount.
Yeah.
Of what a game costs. Like I see now, standard is usually around $200 for a collector's edition right out the gate.
Unfortunately,
That's a lot of money, bro.
Yeah, and it's a big old box, and I like having a soundtrack. I like having a steelbook. I like having an art book. Do I feel like I'm getting $200 worth of experience? No, never do I really. And I typically now I'll still buy those from time to time, but I reserve it for something that I feel like is special. That like I'm like I really need to hone in on this because I could tell this is going to be something that's special to me in terms of an experience. So I would prefer to own the definitive standard of that. Other than that, yeah, I agree. It's a pain in the butt to own these big old editions.
Yes, especially when you get something like, sometimes they'll come with the most useless collectibles that are included. Kind of like Nick pointed out, his little popcorn bucket, and that's not a collector's edition exclusive, but it'll be things like that where it's like, okay, what practical or aesthetic purpose does that serve whatsoever?
I hate stickers. Stickers is a waste of my time when they put in a collector's edition. I'm not.
If I'm a collector, if I'm a collector, I'm not going to use them.
Yeah,
but if they're there, I got to keep them.
At least with things like I'm hit or miss on, like, I know acrylic standees is becoming really big with RPGs.
Yeah.
They're kind of like a figure in a way. I'm not a fan of them, but like stickers, I just think like, dude, you know
You're
who's
losing
buying
value
this, right?
by using them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think your audience of people who are buying a collector's edition and you give them a sticker sheet of something, you know that they're not going to use them, right? You know that they're going to leave them intact because they went and bought this extravagant edition. They're not going to open it, or they're not going to use the stickers. They're not going to waste their greasy mitts peeling them off the sheet and placing them on their, I don't know, their binder or their laptop or whatever. Maybe
Their
they
water
will.
bottle.
Yeah. You know,
Nice
maybe
battle water bottle.
exactly. But like typically those are targeted towards the hardcore collector. And it just kind of seems counterintuitive of the way that collectors think and act to put things like a sticker.
And that's exactly why I say this collector's editions are simultaneously both red flags and green flags. When you find it in the right circumstances for a game that you like with the contents that you would like, it's like, okay, now I have an excuse to buy it. When either the game is something that you don't care about, or maybe the edition includes things that you don't care about, one or the other, or both, you kind of end up going, nope, I'm not getting that. I'll stick to standard. Especially because another thing that we haven't even brought up about collector's editions is that there is no standardized size whatsoever.
Yeah.
I hate
So
that,
it's an
bro.
eyesore.
Different
you know, it
sizes
really-
everywhere.
I know I already mentioned this a little bit. It really does remind me of like older PC boxes, because like at a certain point, like the 2000s, they kind of standardized them. Like if you remember the like old school like World of Warcraft boxes, but then before that, like in the 90s, like they were huge. Like as like one could be like the size of, you know, the ones that Sam just mentioned, or they could be like a third the size, you know? So yeah. I was looking up some of the most unique and best collector's editions right now, and a lot of them, and I would like to see how you guys feel about it, but a lot of them were mentioned were ones with like statues. Like I think ones with statues, like for Doom Eternal, it comes with like a helmet. You know, for let's see, for Halo Infinite, it came with like the energy sword. I think those things are pretty cool.
That's sick.
I think it depends sometimes too, because I got Persona 3 Reload, the collector's edition, and it didn't come with a steelbook. It came with a regular game. It came with an art book, and it came with a soundtrack, and then it came with a statue, and it was this big box. It's a big box. It takes a bunch of space in my collection.
I've seen that thing. That thing is huge.
And this is what the big box was holding.
Oh my, that's crazy.
It's small. It's very small.
They just wanted to take up your shelf space, bro.
This is just a ploy from Big Box to get you.
A lot of the stuff, I know you guys already mentioned on it, but bro, sometimes I feel like I'm just buying a loot box with like, bro,
Yeah.
you're gonna find like a collector edition with like socks and like, what the heck, bro? Like
That clearance section at GameStop, they just be throwing stuff in there.
a Funko Pop in there. Sometimes I'm like, bro, these guys are on one, bro. Like, what's going on? And a lot of the times I feel like it's a gamble because, like, I think Leo mentioned a little bit about this, where like I buy the game because I'm hyped and excited for it, but like reviews aren't out yet, and like things sell out quick, like now, so you have to be on it, and you kind of have to gamble whether you're gonna like the game or not, and you buy this big old expensive collector's edition, and then you end up realizing that, bro, this game kind of sucks, and I kind of don't like it.
Limited run games.
They do a cool thing where they pre-order, but I want my game now, bro. I want that instant dopamine rush. I ain't trying to wait like 8 months for a game. No shout outs to limited run games, but
I do
don't
like
know how
them,
long it
but
takes
they
off
do
the
that a
top of my
lot.
head. But sometimes it feels like that, bro.
Bro, tell me why. Like, I pre-ordered a Clock Tower, and spooky season's over, bro. Like, I'm gonna play that next spooky season. But I was bummed that certain collector's editions or just editions of limited run games that I bought. I'm like, oh, I'll see that next year.
Yeah. And something I didn't even mention, this is going to be really quick because I want to pass it off to Sam's topic, but I said that I do love soundtracks in my collector's editions, but something I hate are soundtrack selections where it'll be like 10 tracks out of the entire 73 track soundtrack listing. I'm like, what use do I have that? Even if they are the best tracks, I want the whole thing, not just stage 1, part 2, stage 7, part 1, all that sort of stuff. The boss fight. I want the whole soundtrack front to back. I have no use for soundtrack selections.
I'm looking up like terrible. I'm looking up terrible. I'll share my screen just
Collector's
briefly.
editions.
Yeah, and something that's something. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
I guess for Xenoblade Chronicles X, it came with a thumb drive. And,
Oh, that's sick.
And then this one, Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, came with a thumb
Lame.
drive
I
as
think
well.
that's cool.
Yeah, I mean it's something that
A lot of
that
this
was
is
actually
objective.
probably used. You know, like this one's a jacket. It's just interesting. Like I get, yeah. I don't.
Hey,
yeah.
Isaac. This isn't a collector's edition thing, but you know what is probably the coolest collector's item that there's probably only like one of in the world?
This.
Homest.
This
The
USB.
Final Fantasy 15 Regalia actual car.
That exists.
Yeah.
Holy smokes! Hey, look at Sam's thumb drive for silver.
Oh, now
If
that's
his
a cool.
camera
collector's
were
edition.
One of a
warranted.
kind, dude.
This the
For
collector's
for
edition.
audio listeners, Sam is holding up a copy of Pokemon Silver that he bought that was modified to include a thumb drive at the end of the game. So you can play some Pokemon Silver, and you could also,
Save your homework.
back up your English assignment that you probably forgot. Should I upload that at 12 p.m. or 12 a.m.? I don't remember.
Dude, you could put a ROM of Pokemon Silver in there.
I could put a ROM of like all the Game Boy Color games on here.
Yeah, but imagine
But-
playing Pokemon Silver.
But
on
we would only
Pokemon
do that
Silver.
if we owned the actual games. That way we can only run the backups of games that we were owning.
Yes. I own them all. I own the whole library. But with that, let's go into the next. You know, mine is it's more of like a modern approach. I mean not modern approach. It's more pertaining to modern games. And I think developers have been starting to lean away from this, but it still kind of is a thing that developers do, and I don't know why. But a red flag that I always try to avoid whenever I purchase games, for like collecting sake, are games that always require you to stay online for any portion of the game.
Ooh,
Hate that.
I
It's
do
like
agree.
a lot of games like Suicide Squad. I think like Halo, one of the Halo games did it. Halo Infinite. Some of the Gran Turismo games did it. Like New Gen, or like even to play the single player campaign, you need to have constant online connection. Otherwise, it won't let you play.
5
and
years
why
from
they
now,
brought
you-
back Battlefront, and they're like, "This is an online game."
They did that.
And
Like,
like I get it, but like if I'm gonna buy the game, like
You don't
after
wanna
the
buy a
service is
coaster.
down, 10 years from now or 20 years from now, whenever the next console is out and like servers are down, I'm not going to be able to pop that game into my console and play through it. And just like Leo mentioned, it's a coaster. Like that's a red flag that like if I find out that a game requires a constant online connection, then what's the point of buying it as a collector? It's just like it's no point. That's
why,
my big red flag, and it doesn't get as really complicated. It just sucks.
I agree. Okay, I'm not a big multiplayer sort of guy, but the one series that I do buy multiplayer games for is Monster Hunter. But I also know that there's always going to be patch updates and definitive editions, and then like kind of what Isaac was saying. There's a combination of what you were saying and what Isaac's saying, but it's like I don't necessarily want to buy it digitally because it's going to take up so much space on the hard drive. But I also don't want to buy it physically because 5-10 years down the line, what can I really get out of it when I want to play single player? It's going to be an incomplete experience.
I do want to mention on the flip side of that, I love buying games that do the complete opposite. I recently bought Cyberpunk 2077 on the Xbox Series X, and it's like the definitive edition. Like you guys mentioned, it's the definitive edition, which is kind of annoying. But the cool thing about that is like all the DLC is included on the disc itself. It doesn't come with like a downloadable code for you to download it on the Xbox store or whatever. All the DLC is on the actual disc. So 30 years down the line, whenever the Xbox store is down, all the DLC is on the actual disc itself. So you don't have to worry about, oh dang, I got rid of like I'm losing out on the extra DLC stories or the expansions or anything. Everything is on there, and I know Nintendo did that or Game Freak with the expansion for Sword and Shield. They have a copy of the cartridge that has all the DLC on there, and those are the opposite side where it's like a green flag, and those are sick.
If you know to wait, or if you happen to wait for those complete editions, green flag. If you don't know they're coming and you already bought an edition, like an inferior one, it's like, oh great, now I don't want to buy the new one because I'm double dipping, but I also don't want to keep my current one because it's not the one that has all the content on it.
Well, even with that, sometimes they release the definitive editions and it's just a normal game, but it comes with the DLC code for the DLC. And those are the ones that I don't buy. I mean, if it's the same price and I don't have the game at all, then then I will buy it. But I'm not going out to seek those games if they don't have the DLC on the actual cartridge or the disc, because then that future proofs it.
That's what happened to me with,
I could give the game to you, and I don't have to worry about like I buy games now, and I'm like, oh yeah, I bought the game on eBay, but then the description says DLC code has already been redeemed, and I'm like, bro, what's the point?
And that's what happened to me with Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition when I got it back in 2018. Was I thought the DLC was going to be all on disc, and it's a download code. And on the one hand, I'm like, I still ended up getting the stuff, but I'm disappointed that it wasn't on the disc, because it's like, oh great, I gotta keep it perennially installed in whatever system I'm playing, or else 10 years down the line when servers shut down, it's not on disc, so I can't even download the stuff anymore.
Yeah, it's if you go to a convention or something, if you find the definitive edition, it's not really the definitive edition if the DLC code is gone.
Exactly. I was going to buy a copy of that for Isaac because I know that he doesn't have Royal Edition at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. The only copies I could find were used, and I'm not going to chance that. Even if they say, oh, I don't think I use the code, there's no point. I'm only going to buy it if it's sealed.
And unfortunately, a lot of games are going in that route for cost savings reasons, which I get, but at the same time, as somebody who would like to preserve gaming history as much as possible, I feel like there's going to be a ton of games you won't even be able to play anymore. And you see that with the Xbox Live Arcade. I think it shut down recently, right? And there's a whole bunch of digital games that people have fond memories over that will just never be able to be played again unless you find other means to do so. So it's a little.
I feel like the era that had a weird amount of that was that PS3 360 era.
Yeah, the Wii too.
The 3DS is worse for that, bro.
Yeah. Oh, tell us about that.
There's Fire Emblem, bro. In order to download the DLC, you need to have the cart and the DLC. You can't download the DLC off of the eShop.
You have to progress in the story.
Yeah, you have to unlock the DLC tab in the game, and then you have to. The only way you can buy the DLC is if you hit the DLC tab on the game, and then you can buy it on the eShop. But that DLC, I don't think is in the eShop default. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's some weird way that I remember when the eShop was closing down for the 3DS, I needed to buy the Fire Emblem, the Revelations, and the three of them. Was it Conquest? I don't remember which one it was, but in order to buy them, I needed to boot up the game, update my DS, and I couldn't just buy it from the eShop, even though it's the same content. I don't know. That was annoying.
I did the same thing for Shin Megami Tensei 4 and 4 Apocalypse and the Fire Emblem games, because there's just certain DLC that, like you said, you could only purchase it by booting up the game and opening specific menu prompts that wouldn't come right away, just by booting up the game right off first load. You have to do certain commands before you can get to those screens, and that does suck when a server shuts down and then you're locked out.
Yeah,
I'm somebody who plays a decent amount of multiplayer games, and I know that many of them will just be gone eventually, and it's kind of unfortunate. But I mean, once a game isn't really popular anymore, if you don't have anybody to play them with anyway, then it kind of loses its
luster.
Yeah.
And with those games, it's a little bit different though, because that's kind of it's built on top of that.
Yeah,
it's League of Legends and Fortnite and all these games. Once their player base is gone, it's going to make no sense for them to keep running.
Yeah, it makes sense. And it's kind of you have to cap. I think about certain experiences with those kind of multiplayer games, and obviously, with single player games, I remember the game itself. But with online multiplayer games, I remember the experiences I had. When I think about League of Legends, I don't think about necessarily the game itself. I think about playing with you guys all that time, so it's just a totally different thing. But yeah.
You guys have any green flags?
Mine was a simultaneous, so that covers mine right there.
I have a quick one. One of my green flags is, in general, I'm a huge fan of like I really liked when games came with manuals. Obviously, they don't do them as much anymore, and a huge green flag to me is when a company does. Like
You'll love it when a game comes with one.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like with the Nintendo Switch, I know nowadays they don't even come with manuals, and when you open it, sometimes like if it's a Nintendo first party game, they have that like design inside, which is kind of cool. But like I think back to like my game I look at my game collection whenever I have a manual that's especially like in color, whenever they took the time to actually put in the cost, when they didn't worry about the cost and just got a nice color manual, it really adds to the value, in my opinion. It's just more nostalgic, and it's kind of cool to flip through it.
I like when, and I think Leo will agree with me on this because I play a lot of RPGs. I love when you find like a really good hypnotic grind spot that you could just repetitively like sink hours into it over and over again, just maxing out your guy mindlessly, pouring
once
time
again
into it, just
going back to FF15, the that one Alpha Omega Sin method that we adopted.
Yeah. Where you just go and like constantly like one shot these birds, and every time you kill a bird, you gain like a skill point that you can allocate towards your skill tree.
Yep.
I love when I find the way, not necessarily to break the game, but when I find the way where I'm like, okay, and then I start doing mental math. I'm like,
Min-max.
I get into this battle like 78 more times. I have like the best move in the game already, And then it's just those little jumping jacks that I do for myself. I make the game a game in and of itself.
Anybody else have any that they want to throw out there?
I don't think I have any others. I kind of said my piece since mine was like a double-edged sword.
This is one that popped in my head, kind of related to the same thing about manuals.
I got a red flag when games have Sonic the Hedgehog.
Huge red flag. There's this one
especially
game
Shadow.
that we got to play soon that some guy's forcing us to play. I think it's called Sonic R.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Good luck,
really
guys.
dumb.
One of
All right, I think that's one that you're gonna have to censor out just to be sure.
one of mine
Wait, what?
that I another red flag that I didn't like, and this is related to the manuals, is like this is kind of only for like Nintendo, Super Nintendo era kind of games, is whenever they have specific key information in manuals that you need to know for the game, but don't include it in the game until you have to actually like look at the manual. And I don't know, it just
That's
What it
bad
could be
game
Really
design.
cool.
yeah.
It could be really cool, but also really bad. Like a really cool one, but at the same time, if you don't have the complete copy, it's kind of dog water. Is Metal Gear Solid. How you have the codec information in the back, and they say, "Look at the back of the package," so it's like what? It's like breaking the fourth wall, and it's really cool, but it's also like if you don't have a complete copy, like let's say you were a kid in the 90s renting that game, what would you do? You didn't have the internet back then.
Okay, good.
All right, everybody, that covers our Yap session for this episode. Thank you very much for watching the podcast. And as a bit of a recap, next month we are going to be playing Sonic R for the Cartridge Club. So if you want to tag along, maybe share your side of the experience, let us know. Thank you for watching. Till next time, have a good one.